Yeah, why wouldn't I? Of course I would. I didn't start it after you said, "Are you recording this?" Just so you know.
Okay.
But if you go back, you won't hear me. You won't hear yourself say, "Are you recording this?"
Of course,
That was
because your editing skills are.
That's right. Yes. Yes. Come on, get off there. Seriously. Okay. So, what we're going to do too is we're going to just turn on our origin so we can see that. You know what? We're going to turn that all on. Okay, so turn that on, but then we have to go in here and go view. We're going to go hide show, and we're going to show our origin, and we're going to show our planes. So I didn't want those planes. Okay. And the reason I'm doing this is because I wanted to see where the origin is for this part in the assembly. Because when you're creating the assembly, what you want to do is you want to try to get this assembly aligned to the proper origin. So what I'm going to do is I want to get these parts centered on the right plane. So first off, I'm going to use the planes to create mates. So I'm going to take this plane, and I'm going to hit my control button and select that plane. The moment I do that in assemblies, it automatically says, oh, you want to create a mate. So a couple different mates here: coincident, parallel, perpendicular. You can do angles, a variety of things. So we want this to be coincident. So we're just going to do that. Oh. So it came in and it's locked or fixed. So let me go in and I will unfix it. Once I can find where unfix is.
Would you just do like float or something like we did with our other stuff?
Oh, there we go. That's the why. See, I've been using Fusion 360, and it's just different enough that jumping back and forth can be confusing. So thank you for that terminology. Okay, so we're going to go here. We're going to go perpendicular. So now it snaps to that. Well, assuming, but now here's the thing. So I can still move this part in a variety of ways. What I can't do is I can't move it left or right, but I can move it front to back, or I can move it up and down. And that's because I've only told it that it has to stay on this plane. So now, let's assume that we're going to have the center of this. It was designed at this front plane for a reason. We're going to match it up here. Now, like just said, we can move the part up and down, but we can't move it front and back or left and right. So to prevent it from moving up and down, we're going to take the top plane and mate it with the top plane in the assembly. And you can see what's happening is we're getting down to there. So now we're going to do this. Oops. There. And there. So now we're perfectly aligned with the assembly orientation, because you got to think about it when you're bringing it into an assembly. Imagine you're taking all your parts from different rooms and bringing it into one room and assembling it, you know, on a workbench. Now, it's no longer, it doesn't say that it's fixed, you know, but it is fully defined. So I can't move it anywhere because I've locked it down through planes. If I click on mates here, it will show me the 3 mates that I created. I can also, just like any other feature, I can come back and I can edit those. So where I made them snap, coincidence, well, maybe I want to make it a distance. So I can set it a certain distance off. So you can go through and adjust those. But, so I've got this part, and it's made it to the origins within this space. What I want, though, now, for this part, is I want to have it so that this is affixed to this and does not move. Now, we know that I turned off one of the planes. Okay. So we know that this part is going to reside in the center of this. So we can use this plane as a mate. So we're just going to come down here. We're going to go right plane. And we'll select this plane. And then we're going to mate it. So now when we go to the side or the top view, we've got the first part of our mates done. Because I can't go left, I can't go right, I can only go back and forth. So we're good there. Now the question is, I want to get this made it to here so it's up against this edge. I don't know if I necessarily want to build a plane. It doesn't look like I have a plane to build off of. But, hold on. Come on. Okay. So I could create a plane on there. And I could create a plane on here. And then I could mate them. Well, a different way of doing it, as long as this is a flat surface, what I can do is I want to control the front to back. Okay, we've controlled the left to right. I can come in and I can select the face. Now this will only work if these are absolutely flat. And we'll select that. And for this one, we're going to go coincident. Now again, you can do it for angles, you can do it perpendicular, you can do it parallel, but we want it right on there. Okay, excellent. So now we know living in space that is perfectly planar there, or it's there. Let's go to a side view. So again, we can go up and down, but we can't go front to back, and we can't go left to right. So the next thing is, what is the next plane that we want to use? We want to then get this so that it is attached with that. Now, here's where we might not be able to do, or I got to figure something out here quickly. So we've attached it through faces. We've attached it through planes. Let us, I'm going to do something quickly because we've got a perfect circle here. So let's assume that we're going to draw a sketch on here. Turn off warning. And we know a location that we want it to be. We want it to be right there. Let me see if this is going to work. I don't think I have to make it a solid body cut. I'm going to select that. I'm going to select that. And you can kind of see it automatically went. But now here, I'm using it as a concentric. So I can use edges as well. So here now, with all those said, and again, let's close the scope here. We now have all of our mates. And you can still do sketches within the assembly. You're not editing the part, You're just using those tools and that for the assembly. So now we have everything here. Okay, but here's where now, so those are basic mates. Now what we can do is let's start looking at and getting into an advanced mate. Because this body is there, nothing, this can't move, it's fully defined. Well, let us go back and I'm going to delete that. Is this what's going to give it to me? Oh, no. Way too many. So, by getting rid of that mate, but having every other one there, I can not move it left or right because it's locked into that concentric circle, just like a bearing, but I can rotate it. Now, I can rotate it a whole lot. Why does that look like an alien to me? Anyways, what I can do is, let's say you're designing this and you're going to want to do some renderings or some analysis or something. Well, let's say you're going to want to show what this looks like at the different angles. And from an engineering standpoint or design standpoint, for some reason, we've decided that this can only rotate at X angle or so much. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the right plane. We're going to take this right plane and we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to do a mate again. This time though, we're going to say parallel. So there we've got our mate, basic mate. We're going to come in and we're going to edit it. And what we want to do is we're going to do a degree. Oh, hold on. There we go. We're going to go down to an advanced mates, because what I want to do is I want to have it be able to rotate in two different directions. So I want to have it as a start and a finish. So what I'm going to do here, if I remember how to do this correctly, right here, let's just do this. So here, I'm going to lock it in, and I'm not going to be able to move this because it's locked in at the 45 degrees. But I should be able to come down to advanced mates. Oh, here we go. So here it's one distance, so 45 degrees. And then I'm going to go, I believe I can just do a negative. So now you can see that it will only rotate 90 degrees off of center. Now you can do that. We could also do that where we locked it, where now we could set it up so that this head if we got the proper mates and we did a line here, we could set it up so that, oh, hold on, you know what? Let me see if I can do that here. It's not going to be right because you're going to see a gap in the surface. Where is... Okay, so we'll edit this. And again, we've got it as coincident. So we're going to change that, and we're going to do an angle. And let's just say we do it 15, or we're going to go 25. Oops. Oh, it's not going to let me do it because I made it the concentric circle. But if you set it up right, you could do the same thing from the side so that the head would pivot up and down. You could also do it where we did the surface mate. You could also make it so it goes in and out. So you could kind of use that and animate it as well in SolidWorks. So that's the mating. Does that answer your question for that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I would really appreciate after class if you could send me the recording of that so I can kind of do it step by step.
Yep,
and
not a
make sure I'm doing
problem.
it right.
Now you were talking about scaling.
Yeah, so if you notice, the head is too small, and I didn't realize it till I had built it all. So I know Evelina said not to use the scale tool, and then I was looking
Amen,
for maybe
sister.
I can just scale it in
Amen.
the assembly because it's one part already. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily affecting anything. That was my thinking.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Uh,
Scaling is a quick and cheap solution sometimes. And you want to be careful. And here's the reason. Here's a great example of why you want to be careful. I had a person who was managing an outside firm, and they came to me for some advice because all of a sudden the firm said, we're going to have to rebuild the models. We can't update it and change it anymore, and it's going to take 3 weeks. The reason they had to do that is because they kept taking the ID surfaces, and then instead of rebuilding their model parametrically, they would just scale it. Well, at a certain point, it gets you backed into a hole where there's so much that you have to change because it just breaks everything apart. So they learned a lesson because I was asked to step in, and I told them, you say it's going to take 2 weeks. It's going to actually take 3 days. I don't care if you have to dump 6 people on it, and it's not going to cost us a dime. Because I was one of the ones that wrote up the contract, and it specifically said that they needed to hand off a fully functioning parametric model, which they didn't deliver on. So that probably cost them close to 30 grand in 3 days. So that's why you want to be careful. And know what your model is going to be used for. So in this situation, I'm going to say, yeah, for what you're doing, quick fix, not what you want to live with. So here's a couple different. Here's a couple.
I was wondering if it would be easier to scale the handle because there's less parts to it. Scale it down. It's less problematic.
Well, let's.
Less surfaces.
Yeah. So let's see. So 2 different things I could do. I could right click and open this part. Is the handle part in here or no?
No, I made them as separate parts, but there's I didn't delete anything. It's all suppressed.
Okay. Oh.
Just because I didn't want to delete
that,
anything. I have a master, but
yeah. So that could be interesting.
It's been deleted.
Yeah. So you're right. There's a whole lot of parts in here, so I wouldn't be able to go in and scale all these down unless it's a solid body. But another way is that you can edit a part in the assembly. So instead of opening it, and this is what I do because I like to be able to edit the part and see how it affects the parts with it. I can now edit this in the assembly. Everything else gets ghosted out, and we can see that. And all my tools come back up, you know, for editing. So what we can do is let's just see. See, look at that. I don't use the tool, so I don't even know where it is.
The search files and models actually works now. So you can actually search for tools now, and actually it'll show you where it is.
Really?
Yeah, I think it's new in 2020 because 2019 did not do that.
So let's see if I can scale this. We're going to go uniform scale. You know what? It's not going to let me because there's so many things. So then with that said, let's exit out of there. And let's try to scale this one.
I know for a fact that's a solid body.
Well, and it wasn't that it was a solid, it was or wasn't a solid body. It's just that there are so many components that you would have to go back and scale so many parts of it.
Yeah.
So now we've got this. Let's go insert. Feature, scale. So we're going to do that. Now, it theoretically shouldn't affect our mates at all. Everything has been adjusted there. So everything should stay. It'll be interesting.
Before you click yes, I think there's the button face or button surfaces I have on the underside of the handle.
Oh, I'm not going to worry about that. You get to play with the details. I'm just showing you a high level. So let's go, and we'll go 0.85. This may not do it. I don't know. Okay, so it did it. It did it from the center, so that's why it pulled away. So it broke the mate. So you'd want to... Oh, it got rid of that sketch. Oh, because that sketch stayed on there for some reason. So let's try this. So here's a good quick way of modifying things. So we're going to take that sketch and we're going to edit the sketch plane because we want it on here. So now we've got that sketch on there. It's a little high because the whole thing's scaled. But we still have to go back. Why is it not taking it? Oh, I know why. Because that's not the one that broke. The one that broke was this. Oh, how do I get out of here? What's going on? The one that broke was this face to this face. So that's the one that you would have to redo. But now imagine if you had 30 parts. It becomes very complicated.
Yeah.
So, does that sound good? Does that help?
Yeah, it sounds good. It makes me feel a lot better, even though